Councillor Rooker to open the meeting with a...
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Menoi tātou, mai e te tipua, mai e te tawhito, mai e te kahui o ngā riki, mai e tā whiwhi ki ngā tua, o e tā ki nā te mauri, ko te mauri āhua noa, ki runga ki enei taura, ki runga ki enei taura. Kia tau te mauri ki runga ki tēnei whare, he tūkuna no te whaiororo tāne te waiora, tēnei te matatau ka eke, hakatū, tā rewa tū ki te rangi, uhi, wero, tau mai te mauri o haumi e hui e tāiki e. Kia ora.
Declaration of interest. I'm just getting good help from Danielle here. Okay, so move on to apologies. Just want to put an apology for who wishes me. He's tied up at the moment, so he's asked me to chair the meeting, start the meeting off, and hopefully he can get back in time to continue. Someone like to move? Oh, I'll move to accept his apology. Second, or everyone. Councillor Peters. All in favour, please say aye. Right, carried. Okay, the meeting is being live streamed, and as usual, speak loudly into the microphone, and remember to switch it on that I just didn't do last time. Okay, so we'll go on to item number 1 on the agenda. Minutes of the meeting held on 24th of July 2025. Someone like to move those? No. Just hang on, we'll wind the clock back a bit. We had a report on page 5 on the agenda about the public forum, but that is just a response to the speaker we had last meeting. And there are no speakers for today's meeting. Okay, so now we'll go on for confirmation of minutes. Move Councillor Peters. Got a second of confirmation. Councillor Connor. Any notes for correction or alteration? Okay, being none, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary. Right, carried. Okay, we'll move on now to 6.1, temporary road closure. And on page 21 of the agenda, someone would like to move the motion there, please? Councillor Reid, Councillor Olsen. Would you like to speak and read out the motion, please, Councillor Reid?
Certainly would, your should-be worship. 6.1, temporary road closure request, International Rally of Whangarei 2025. That the Council 1 approves the temporary closure of the following roads to ordinary traffic for the International Rally of Whangarei 2025 on the following dates in accordance with the Transport Vehicular Traffic Road Closure Regulations 1965. Wednesday the 5th of November to Sunday 9th of November 2025. Service Park, Poe Island Road, from start to end including the car park. Period of closure, 8 a.m. Wednesday the 5th of November to 8 p.m. Sunday the 9th of November 2025. Friday the 7th of November 2025, the ceremonial start. James Street, from Robert Street to Cameron Street including Cameron Street Mall. John Street, from Robert Street to Cameron Street. Cameron Street, from James Street to Walton Street. Period of closure, 3 p.m. to 7 p.m. Saturday the 8th of November 2025, Stage 1. God, I didn't realise there was that much.
Keep going.
Hodo Road. Hodo Road from the intersection of State Highway 15 Whangarei Road to the intersection of the Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary, including intersections with Norval Road, no exit, Morgan Road, no exit. Period of closure, 6 a.m. to 10:30 a.m. Special Stage 8, Kitikopini. Kitikopini Road from the intersection of Whangarei District and the Kaipara District Council's boundary to the intersection with State Highway 15 Whangarei Road. Period of closure, 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. Special Stage 9 and 10, Poe Island to Matua Apohe Bridge, Dave Cullum Drive from Port Road to Riverside Drive, includes to Matua Apohe Bridge. Period of closure, 1:45 to 10 p.m. Sunday the 9th of November 2025, Special Stage 11 and 15, Ruarangi, Ruarangi Road from the intersection of Mangapai Road to the intersection of Paparoa Road, including intersections with Graham Road. Period of closure, 6:45 a.m. to 3:45 p.m. Special stage, 12 and 16, Waikiki. Waikiki Road North from the intersection of Paparoa to the intersection of Waikiki North Road and Walker Road. Walker Road from the intersection of Waikiki North Road to the intersection of Neville Road and Hosking Road. Neville Road from the intersection of Walker Road and Hoskings Road to the intersection with Neville Road and Harrison Road. And that should be Hosking, not Hoskings. Harrison Road from the intersection of Neville Road to the Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary. Steed Road from the intersection of Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary to the intersection with Hartnell Road, including intersections with Leach Road, no exit. Hartnell Road from the intersection of Stead Road to the intersection with Ararua Road. Period of closure, 7 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Special stage, 13 and 17, Omana. Omana Road from the intersection of Tararoa Road to the intersection with the Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary, including intersections with Leslie Road, no exit, Kataringa Road, no exit. Pikawahini Road from the Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary to the intersection with Mitatai Road, including intersections with Hillcrest Road, no exit. Period of closure, 7:30 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Special stage, 14 and 18, Bull. I think that should be Bull Road. Bull Road from the intersection of Ararua Road to the intersection with the Whangarei District and Kaipara District Council's boundary. Period of closure, 8:30 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. 2. Approves the temporary closure of the side roads off the roads to be closed for up to 100 metres from the intersection for safety purposes. Delegates to the Chair of Infrastructure Committee, if he's got any breath left, and the General Manager of Transport and Community Infrastructure the power to give public notice of these proposed temporary closures, to consider any objections and to either approve, cancel or amend any or all of the temporary road closures if applicable, and I've just won that race.
Wow.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. So, open for discussion. Does anyone want to speak on that? Councillor Rooker.
Just being pedantic, Mr. Chair, there was a typo earlier that I only just seen. It says Pohe Island Te Matua a Pohe, unless the bridge has a parent, should be Te Mātou a Pohe.
Exactly.
From the top there.
Okay.
Tomato.
Councillor Rooker, could you just explain it again so our staff can record it?
So, period of closure 3 p.m. to 7:30 p.m. special stage, Pohe Island. It says Te Matua a Pohe Bridge instead of Te Mātou a Pohe Bridge.
Thanks very much. It's good to have that.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Eye on the ball, eh? Good. Councillor Connor.
Just for a note, I'm public one on this one because my machine is broken. A quick question in regards to the agenda, and I know this is about the road closure, but it's really tapping onto the maintenance for afterwards, and it's a regular one. It says in here, it says there's going to be road grading and whatnot, and appreciate that, but the shakedown is going to be around the Town Basin Loop and pathways. In the past, it's not been done very quickly, so it impedes people when they're walking through. Do we have clarification if they're going to be getting to that quickly after the shakedown's finished, or when the event's finished?
Okay. Okay, could I ask directors of staff, please? Lana?
Through the chair, I only process the road closure. I'm actually in touch with the rally organisers. That's my team leader. She's the main contact with rally. I know last year she did ask for it to be done as ASAP, and I think it was done the next day. I would hope that it would be done the same this year.
Okay. Happy with that? Okay, any other questions? Okay, I'll put that motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Right, motion's carried. Okay, 6.2, temporary road closure request, Northern Car Club for 2025 events. And just before we get on to that, just welcome to the public. I just had my eye on the door and a few have been coming in, so thanks very much for coming along this morning. And of course, welcome to our staff, other staff members. Okay, we'll continue it now. Someone like to move this motion, please? Councillor Peters, got a seconder, please? Councillor Olson. Councillor Peters, would you like to read it, please?
Pick the easy one.
Kia ora. That the council receive the Whangarei events strategy.
No.
Oh, wrong one,
Yeah. Page 57.
57.
So how did you know what you're moving?
I wasn't even doing it. Sorry. You did, yeah. 57. It's not very big either. Oh, 57 is longer. That the council approves the temporary closure of the following roads to ordinary traffic for the Northland Car Club October 2025 event on the following dates in accordance with section 3421B and schedule 10, clause 11 of the Local Government Act 1974. Sunday, the 5th of October, 2025, Wada Drive from Theodore Drive to Casey Road, including the Casey Road Wada Drive roundabout and the Theodore Wada Drive roundabout. Roosevelt Road from Theodore Drive to Wada Drive. Period of closure, 8 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. Approves the temporary closure of the side roads off the roads to be closed for up to 100 metres from the intersection for safety purposes. Delegates to the Chair of Infrastructure Committee and General Manager Transport and Community Infrastructure the powers to give public notice of these proposed temporary closures, to consider any objections and to either approve, cancel or amend any or all of the temporary road closures if applicable. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, it's been moved to second, please. Councillor Reid. Okay, open for discussion. Anyone want to comment on that?
Look forward to the event.
Okay, thanks very much. No hands going up. Okay, I'll move the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? No. Motion's carried. Moving on to 6.3, page 67. Temporary road closures request, Whangarei Fireworks Spectacular 2025. Got someone like to move that, please? Looks like Councillor Peters still got your light on. Do you want to move this?
No, do you want Simon Reid?
Councillor Reid, and then Councillor Mackenzie, second.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. That the council, 1, approves a proposal to temporarily close the following roads to ordinary traffic for the Whangarei Fireworks Spectacular on the following date in accordance with the Transport Vehicular Traffic Road Closure Regulations 1965. Saturday, 1st November 2025, Okada Drive from the roundabout to Okada Drive, at Okada Drive, and Potawini Ave to the roundabout at Okada Drive and Port Road. Period of closure 2 p.m. to 10 p.m. Approves a proposal to temporarily close the side roads off the roads to be closed for up to 100 metres from the intersection for safety purposes. Delegates to the Chair of Infrastructure Committee and General Manager Transport and Community Infrastructure the power to give public notice of these temporary closures, to consider any objections and to either approve, cancel or amend any or all of the following road closures, if applicable. It'll be a cracker of a day.
Before I open up for discussion, could I ask our staff to make a comment on this one, please? Because it's quite a wide range. Is anything being proposed that's new from past last year, or is it business as usual?
Through the chair, in terms of the road closure?
Yes. Yeah.
No change.
No change.
So similar. Thank you. Okay, any further discussion? Okay, being no discussion, put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? No. Okay, motion's carried. Moving on to page 79, item 6.4, adoption of Whangarei Event Strategy 2025-2030. Have we got a mover? Councillor Peters and Councillor Mackenzie. Okay, Councillor Peters.
I'm very
Please,
very
please.
happy to see, this is really the one I was interested in. I was so happy to see this, because what it will mean...
You've got to move it first.
Oh, I'll move it. Oh, yeah, I've done it.
Yeah. No, read it out.
Oh, I have to read it out.
Yeah.
That the council receives the Whangarei Event Strategy 2025 to 2030, 2, adopts the Whangarei Event Strategy 2025-2030.
Okay. Well, Councillor McKenzie seconded it. So,
Yeah.
okay, it's open for discussion.
Now I can say
Speak.
how happy I am to see this through, because it will mean that with our events we've got consistency, we know what we're doing, and other people do too. So that's what strategies do for us. So well done, B and the team. Thank you.
Councillor Connor?
Thank you. Yeah, I totally support the words that were already have been said, and from the complaints that I've dealt with in the past about some of the events, I appreciate the detail that you have given to it and the strategy that we have moving forward. There's always going to be something that's going to come up, but it's as long as we've got a bit of a plan to move forward, I've got faith in the team to be able to provide that with the community, and the amount of events that we've been able to bring forward on such limited funds as well has been spectacular. So, well done.
Thank you. Councillor Harding.
Mihi ana kia koe, thank you through the chair. Mihi ana kia koe hoki Councillor Ruka, mo tō karakia kaha, mo te atanai. Thank you for your karakia for us this morning. To the kaupapa, 100% support it. There was all around positive endorsements that came from our last Te Kārearea Strategic Partnership Committee, and I just wanted to make sure that thread came through to the team today. Wholeheartedly know that it's around our community, getting behind the community around how they want to deliver, and the strategy really covers that well. So mihi ana kia kōrua. Kia ora.
Any other councillors' comments? I'd just like to say from my point of view, and probably my last opportunity to say it, you know, our events strategy, you know, we've come a long way over recent years, and to hold events that capture New Zealand, capture a worldwide audience, and like Rugby World Cup games, and what you've done over the recent years. But also want to thank Councillor Benny for working really closely with its manager and helping promote these events. And even went so far that we actually put some more money in events so we make sure that the strategy works. So good work all around. So thanks very much. Okay, I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Carried. Moving on, 6.5, Food Businesses Grading Bylaws, Statutory Review. Well,
And we've got Shireen Monday
Okay.
speaking to the item on Teams.
okay, does someone like to move the recommendation, please? We've got Shireen Monday online now. Thank you. Morning. Okay, someone like to move the recommendation? Councillor Peters? This side could move something, eh? Councillor Peters? Okay, and Councillor McKenzie?
He was doing it. That council, 1, endorses the Food Business Grading Bylaw Review findings, report in attachment 1. 2, agrees that the statutory review of the Food Businesses Grading Bylaw 2016 is complete, including that a bylaw is still the most appropriate way to help protect the public from food-borne disease illnesses caused by unsafe food handling practices in food businesses. B, the current bylaw does not give rise to any implications and is not inconsistent with the New Zealand Bill of Rights Act 1990. C, the current bylaw structure and wording could be improved. 3, direct staff to prepare a statement of proposal to amend the Food Businesses Grading Bylaw consistently with the findings in attachment 1.
Thank you. Councillor McKenzie seconded, so it's open for discussion. Anyone wants to talk to it? Well, staff, you did a great job on this, no questions at all. So that's pretty good. Okay, so we have workshopped it, so Being no discussion, we'll move the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? No. Carried. Moving on to page 111. 6.6, Waste Management and Minimisation Bylaw Controls. Got a move for that, please? Councillor Connor. Councillor Golightly. Okay, Councillor Connor, you'd like to make a comment? I'll read the recommendation, please.
Sorry, Simon. I did see that twice. I move that the council, approves the Waste Management and Minimisation Bylaw Control 2025 as provided in Attachment 1, and 2, confirms the Waste Management and Minimisation Bylaw Control 2025 commences on the 28th of August 2025.
Okay. Do you want to speak to it?
I will.
Okay. Okay.
Cool, thank you. I just want to start off by thank you very much to the team that have been working on this, especially for the new manager coming into the space and kind of getting into the middle of everything. Thank you for what you've done so far. Thank you for the team to be able to get this. Thank you for the people who have provided feedback to be able to get us through this bylaw. I wish we didn't have to have the bylaw at all, and I know that there is space that we have to move to improve in these spaces, but that's a whole of public thing that we need to provide a service, and we need to be able to get the public to work with that service so that we can do it as efficiently as possible, which I hope this is a bit more guidance of. So the public understand, they need to be able to be clear about it, and so we have to have the education easily available. This is a nice, concise, small document, which hopefully is easily readable for people, and long may we have to not implement it. But if we do, I hope we deal with it appropriately.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Connor. Any other discussion? Pretty thorough briefings, eh? It got through, everyone understands it. Okay, so I'll put the motion. All in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Aye. Motion's carried. Moving on to page 121. Alcohol Control Bylaw, ratification of coastal control alcohol bans. Councillor Benny would like to move this. Please read out the recommendation.
Possibly. I've just got a couple of questions for staff first before I may move an amendment.
Yes.
So, the question for staff is, just for the councillors involved, can you explain why we need to review bylaws? And I'm talking about the overall package, not this particular bylaw, but our need to review.
To the Chair, excuse me. Council is required to review bylaws under almost every piece of enabling legislation we have. The idea is that our bylaws remain up to date and relevant, and that they address current issues in the community.
Cool. And so we have a legislative requirement to review the bylaw. How often?
Through the Chair, an LGA bylaw, if it is made the first time, has a 5-year review period. Once reviewed, it then has a 10-year review period. The alcohol bans themselves, they're resolutions that are made under the authority of the bylaw. They are not strictly required to be reviewed in these timeframes. We would consider it best practice to review them.
And just really briefly, in December 2024, we reviewed the current bylaw as it stood.
Through the Chair, the current bylaw, yes. We did not review the register of alcohol bans at that time.
Right, okay. Yeah, I have an amendment sorry, well, not an amendment, I have a different recommendation than the recommendation that's in there. So, the recommendation is that Council, and I've emailed this to staff, and I'll put it on the board, I imagine, that Council 1 determines that in each of the areas mapped in Attachment 1, and this is different than the agenda, A high level of crime or disorder, bracket, being crime or disorder caused or made worse by alcohol consumption in the area concerned, is likely to arise in the area to which the bylaw is intended to apply if the bylaw is not made. And B, the ban is appropriate and proportionate in the light of that crime or disorder. And C, the ban can be justified as a reasonable limitation on people's rights and freedoms. 2, declares under clause 6.1 of the Alcohol Control Bylaw the areas mapped in attachment 1 as alcohol ban areas where the consumption, bringing in and possession of alcohol in public places is prohibited at all times with effect from 28 September 2025.
And you finished?
Second.
Yeah, Councillor Reid.
Cool. So this is something that has been going on since December 2024. I've made my intentions clear for this the whole way, and I'm consistent, and I will be consistent today. I received this agenda item yesterday. To be honest, that's not acceptable in this current environment. We were given assurances we would be getting agendas well before the date. To receive it yesterday is not on. I read this item, and I believe I have been thrown under the bus. If that was justified, I would accept it. However, the fact is that staff have got this badly wrong.
He voted this.
I want to point out staff have used section 147A1 of the Local Government Act. Now, I have changed the agenda item, as you'll see in the yellow there, because I believe they have used the wrong section. The section they are required to use is section 147A, subsection 3. Now, I'll try and explain this. It's a technical decision, but it's one that is very important. When you make a new bylaw, as we did previously, this bylaw was made many years ago, the standard of proof required is a very high bar, quite rightly. Legislators, when they introduced new legislation, they allowed councils to have a reduced burden of proof. And that's in A, you'll see of my amendment, that is the reduced burden of proof. When we went out for consultation, we were told we had to show and I'll read from the agenda item, the area has experienced a high level of crime or disorder that can be shown to have been caused or made worse by alcohol consumed there. That doesn't make sense because the bylaw has been in place for a considerable time. Legislators allowed councils to look at this problem, and if the issue is that, as in this case, there is no evidence that this is required if it was a new bylaw. So all we have to prove is that the evidence, if we do not continue with this bylaw, the problems will likely happen again. This is where we've had this issue with this bylaw. It's quite technical, but I have covered it with my amended motion here. We have to look at what we're trying to achieve here. Are we trying to tick a box, or are we trying to do the best thing for our ratepayers? We have Whangarei North, Whangarei South, Teal Bay, Whananaki, Tudukaka, 5 ratepayers groups unanimous in their support of this bylaw and their wish for this bylaw to continue. The police who work in these areas are unanimous in their support for this bylaw. We're told consultation has been extensive. Sorry. Not only were our ratepayer groups given the wrong information, their views have been ignored in my mind. This could have and should have been sorted many months ago. I have offered numerous times in this forum and outside of this office to get involved in this process. This is not about me, this is about doing the right thing for our ratepayers groups. Some of the information in this agenda item has nothing to do with the alcohol ban bylaw. For instance, a hazardous drinking among 18 to 24-year-olds, a graph, that has nothing to do with a bylaw for drinking in a public place. The powers of the police, what they could do instead of this. What I want to point out here is that This is a proactive law, not a reactive law. The police are able to react to breaches of the law, but this allows them a proactive law that they can use, similar to the gang patch law. There will be police in this country that will never ever see a gang patch. Doesn't mean that law is not effective. So I ask you to vote with me on this one. Let's do the right thing for our ratepayer groups. They are the ones who have to live with this. Not people that sit upstairs in this office, not councillors who may or may not support these groups, but the people. We are doing this because the people want this, because they believe it is a justifiable bylaw to protect them and their areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Benny. Well, that should have generated a bit of discussion. Okay. Is that Councillor Reid?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The reason I seconded Councillor Benny's amendment is the fact that he is absolutely right. I've personally witnessed this kind of unwanted behaviour in a different council patch, I suppose, and the destruction and the nuisance value of it to those communities can't really be measured. They arrive, they misbehave, they get drunk, they trash everything they find. And we don't want the police coming in after the fact. We want them to be able to be there before the fact. And Councillor Benny does his homework extremely well. He's had many years of personal experience in this field, and I fully commend his work on this. Going to miss him with his common sense attitude towards doing the best for the ratepayers. Thank you.
Councillor Olsen.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Yes, I totally support this. Gavin, I admire you for your dedication. So, yep, you've got my wholehearted support on this one.
Okay, just before we get too far down, I've just been informed the agendas were available electronically on Friday, and so I just want to clear that up. And after the next speaker, Councillor Connor will ask our staff to comment, please. Councillor Connor.
Thank you. I'm not going to go and argue any of the points, and there's definitely parts that I support and parts that are probably, it moves through the time. A question I have in regards to really the whole ban areas is the detail of it. Just for clarification too, like there's some areas where it kind of probably runs along a property line or a road barrier, and it leaves a dark area between the road and the park, for example, that if you look at the map from a public point of view, you could technically stand on the footpath next to it and say, I'm allowed to drink there, but you're not a step further in. This is really regards to the whole thing. In other areas, there's a cover over the whole community of an area, and I appreciate the need for covering that whole area, but it's kind of like just looking through this, it doesn't actually say public anywhere, it just says alcohol ban area. So you could be misunderstanding it by saying, well, actually, we're not allowed to drink it in our own properties. What's the deal with that? The question is, how detailed do we need to be so the public are clear about the specifics? And the secondary part is, at what point from your property to the public area is the line drawn? Is it at the end of the driveway? Is it at the end of your property line and the driveway is excluded? Is there some clarification on that one, please?
Generally your property line, but I'll ask Will to comment now.
Through the Chair, yes, good question, thank you. It is challenging to map public places because of the definition that Section 147 provides for them. So a public place has a temporal element to it, a time element. If it is open to being used by the public, even if it is private premises, it could be construed as a public place. We take the point that the maps could include some wording around that, and that might be helpful to clarify to the public. I accept that. It is challenging legislation to work with.
Okay, thank you. So I was doing a bit of admin work behind the scene here. So, okay, any other discussion? Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much. This has been bubbling away for a little while, hasn't it? And I know that the staff have done a lot of work on it. To me, it's a case of trying to stick with the rules that the staff have to work with, and then understanding that the reality of life sometimes pushes us outside those rules. And this is a good example of that. I believe that Councillor Benny, with the experience that he has, and we've signalled this all the way through, is someone who has a very credible understanding of the problems that are out there and the ways that they can be dealt with. And I also feel that sometimes when you're looking for outcomes, you have to be prepared to go the extra mile and listen to the people who have their boots on the ground, so to speak. What is meaningful to me in this argument is the proactiveness of this bylaw and the tool that it gives the police to nip problems in the bud before anybody actually has broken the law. So for that reason, amongst some others, but that's a very pertinent one for me, I will be supporting the motion as Councillor Benny has put it up. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper.
Through the chair, excuse me, may I just address the detail around section 147A1 versus 2, the subsections, which are at the heart of this amendment. There have been no alcohol bans in these areas for 8 months now. Previously, the earlier iteration of the bylaw included, Council had made a resolution in 2018 to make a blanket coastal ban. It was never mapped, which is a requirement of the bylaw, that the bans have to be mapped. So it didn't meet the requirements of the bylaw itself. And it was never signposted. So visitors to these areas could never have known that there was a bylaw in place. Section 147A2 is not the correct subsection that Council should be using to make these determinations.
Point of order.
It is subsection 1.
One, this question hasn't even been asked of staff, so he was replying to a question that has never been asked. Secondly, I didn't say 147A2, I said 147A3. And the fact, and the staff have referred to the fact that people would not have known this bylaw was in effect. That just is not the case. It has been on our council website for some time. It was publicly notified in 2018. I just make that point.
Okay, thank you. Okay, any further comment from councillors? Okay, right of reply, Councillor Benny.
Very briefly, there's things in here like signage costs to be in the vicinity of $10,000 to $15,000. I'll take that on. This is, and it exceeds the Health and Bylaws Department for financial year $3,000 to $8,000 of unbudgeted operational expenditure. Seriously, this is something for our communities that we need to get on board with. $3,000 to $8,000. If council didn't send out 7 people to put up a sign, we'd be able to do this a lot cheaper. There's a whole heap of stuff in here that is just scaremongering, and we need to get the result. I believe that legislatively we are doing, I've covered my butt by introducing this section, and I thank you for your assistance today.
Okay, thank you. Vote of reply has been had. It now goes to vote. All those in favour, please say aye. Aye. Contrary? Ayes have it, so motion's carried. Okay, just changing the seat here. His Worship the Mayor's going to come and take over the meeting, but while I'm in the chair, the item on the Purity Springs will be deferred till after 10 o'clock because the Watatiri Marae Trust are going to come in and I've been told that time, so we're running early. So thanks very much, guys, around the table. Now, His Worship will take over and I'm going to move the next motion. Thank you.
Just a quick changing of the seats.
Now Now I've mixed up on pages.
Right, good morning, councillors, and it's good to see everyone here. And as Councillor Hulse has said, he's got this next motion, which is on, for those who are unsure, it's 6.8, it's on page 153. Councillor Hulse, what would you like to move?
Thank you, Your Worship. And this is local water's done well, water service delivery model. And with all my papers muddling up, I've actually need some help and put the new recommendation on the screen, please.
Sure.
Okay.
I think we've got the...
So this local water's done well. So I'd like to move what's in the agenda and plus a couple of more items at the end that'll be included in one motion. Not an amendment, it'll be one motion. Okay, thank you. 1A, approves the adoption of the Joint Water Service Delivery Plan. B, delegates authority to the Chief Executive to make minor editorial changes if required in the Joint Water Service Delivery Plan to allow certification. C, adopts the commitment agreement between the three Northern Councils to establish a CCO for water service delivery. D, authorises the Chief Executive to make minor editorial changes if required to the commitment agreement, including certification statements. E, authorises the Chief Executive to execute the commitment agreement. F, approves unbudgeted funds of up to $500,000, excluding GST, to be made available to the CCO establishment project, noting that, little one, all costs will be allocated equally between the water and wastewater activities with a corresponding reduction in each reserve. 2, all costs incurred by Council for the CCO establishment will be ring-fenced for transfer to the CCO once it is established. 3, efforts to access external funding for the purpose of the CCO establishment will continue. 4, monies already contributed from the Department of Internal Affairs to the Council for Local Waters Done Well will be utilised before council funding is used. Now the new points will go as G. This authorises our Whangarei District Council's Chief Executive to sign certification report, which is page 173 of the agenda. And H, notes that the current elected members on the working group supports the above and reinforce the need for the incoming council to appoint elected members early in the next council term to progress work necessary to complete Local Waters Done Well Northland. I move that.
Yep, thank you, Councillor Hulse, and I will second that so we get this discussion going. And I see that Councillor Hulse, you're up first for speaking to it.
Yeah. Okay, so this agenda is a mighty big agenda, and it's very, very hard, I'd say, for a council to get their head around this. So, wind the clock back, we said a few months ago that we work with the rest of Northland to produce a model of local waters done well. And that is passed by our council and is passed by the other two councils as well. We had the members from DIA, Department of Internal Affairs, come and sit with us, plus a appointee, David Hawkins, a very experienced ex-mayor and involved with Watercare when they set up Watercare. So with those and elected members from the three councils and our staff have done some superb and a lot of time, painstaking work behind the scenes to go through all our financials, go through a model to see whether things can work. But this is only the start. And I'd like to draw your attention to page 173 and to read this CE's statement. 173. So this has got is really relevant to this meeting because we've started a process. We have not completed it. We have not said what the final model is. We've got a commitment agreement to work with other councils. We've got a proposal going forward to all the other councils. But this is what I want to read out. Certification of the Chief Executive, and this is what's in the motion that we want our CE to sign this, because this is a statement our ratepayers need to hear. This water service delivery plan has been prepared within a constrained time frame based on high-level information provided by individual councils. The content is largely conceptual. While all reasonable efforts have been made to verify the completeness and accuracy of the information through the review process described above, it is acknowledged that certain assumptions and data may be subject to change as further information becomes available during the due diligence process associated with the transition to a joint council-controlled organisation. Having regard to the limitations stated above, and based on the information presently available, I confirm to the best of my knowledge that the information provided by the Whangarei District Council contained in this Water Service Delivery Plan, 1, meets the requirement of the Local Government Water Service Preliminary Arrangement Act 2024 and is accurate and complete to the extent reasonably ascertainable at this time. So that is the key message we need to take out of this meeting. We are just at the start of this program. The implementation of a CCO does not happen until the 1st of July 2028. So there's a considerable amount of work. We've got to set up a CCO.
2027.
2027. Oh, set up 2027, operable in 2028. So a lot more work has to be done. There's been a lot of speculation, a lot of items discussed, and the purpose of a CCO and how the CCO is going to be managed, and that all has to be worked through. And so I'll just pause there now, and I'll have a right of reply to pick up any comments as we go through. But the other two members on the working party might want to comment. Thank you.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much. I am one of the other members on the working party, and I think Councillor Hulse has set us on a good course here with the understanding of the tasks that are before us. It is a fast-moving beast. This local water's done well, and I too thank the staff led by Simon and Andrew for the background work that they have done and the input from His Worship and who is the other member of the working group, and Councillor Hulse. I think it's important to understand that one, there's a lot of work still to be done, a lot of work being done, a lot of work still to be done. Two, that the overriding concern of the members of this working group are to protect the interests of the ratepayers of Whangarei, while still being able to work with a clear direction that has been asked of us from the central government in order to meet the requirements that they have in setting the goals and meet the goals that they have set for fixing this problem with the waters in the north. So there is a lot of work to protect our interests, but also work with local government and gain their trust, which of course then leads on to benefits in other areas. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Cooper. Councillor Peters.
So mine is framed somewhat as a question, but it is also something that people have come to me, residents and ratepayers have all asked me about. So I'm sort of just perhaps seeking clarification, Your Worship. So this, as Councillor Hulse and Councillor Cooper have said, is a in principle decision here. And the sort of thing that people are worried about out there is the protection of our interests. So, my understanding in that work over the next little while, will be to ensure that there is protection of the financial contribution that residents and ratepayers have made to their own water, so that it is of high standard, and so protection of that work, so that that is kept within the Whangarei precinct, and B, that any expenses to other areas that are less well serviced are not upon their future payments towards the water system. So just if I can ask someone to actually reply to that as a question. Thank you.
It's actually a very good question, Councillor Peters, and probably one I can answer, and I will attempt to answer it on saying that I know I've got Andrew there who can correct me if I stray in any way or form. So the intention of this document is to make sure that we have the three councils working together. That's the first part of it. There are other aspects about going through the process where we call exit avenues. So if for some reason it gets to a certain point where a council feels as though that this is not appropriate or it doesn't align to what their values are, they have an exit strategy there. There is about 3 exit strategies. Andrew, I'm just going to double check. 2 exit strategies, exit points. So there is a long process that we're going through, and Council, in relation to protecting the assets of Whangarei, that is exactly what we've made sure of within the document. It is about ring fencing and protecting the assets that the residents of Whangarei have already paid for and have money in the bank for to keep going with the work. Do be well aware when the CCO is finally formed, we may have already spent all of our money, because we do have the Poroti water treatment plant and we also have the Ruakaka wastewater treatment plant, so the money may get all spent by that time anyway, because those are both projects which will need to start within the next year or so. So there are a lot of things that are still being discussed, and you're right, you've hit on it. There is just as much risk for the Kaipara in the far north as there is Whangarei, and that has come very clearly from all the residents within Northland. The most important aspect of this is if we didn't do this as a locals, as the 3 councils working together locally, it would have been imposed upon us.
Thank you.
Andrew, is there anything else that I have missed off?
I think you're in general correct. So some of them, in terms of a formal collection of getting those ideas together, so one of the key things is the shareholder agreement. So that will need to be looked at, adopting that prior to the CCO gets incorporated. And a key thing about that is understanding sort of the values and the fundamental principles that each council wants to have within the CCO. So that's a big piece of work that we're looking to try and complete before March next year. Just for clarification, in the water service delivery plan, we've called those exit points recommitment points, so taking a more positive view. And if I can just clarify, so the water service delivery plan is looking to have the CCO incorporated next year, so on the 1st of July 2026 and operational on 2027. The legislation needs to be operational by the 2028. So just for clarity.
And also just for clarification as well, the reason why it was done as 2027 is 2028. Actually, 2027 lines up with our long-term plan processes, so it's all lined up properly there. Councillor Mackenzie, you're next.
Thank you, Worship. Yes, I support this motion, and I support the addition of that point H there from Councillor Hulse. I think it's a critical thing to have elected members working in this working group, and actually the working group, the formation of the working group, which Councillor Hulse and I sort of lobbied for quite some time, actually brought about this situation where you got agreement across the council. So that's what power you have, having elected representatives getting in the room together and discussing these important issues. So well done to you guys, and I endorse point H there along with the rest of the motion. I'd just like to point out that the discussions that we've had with DIA, they noted in other regions that councils stood up and incorporated CCOs immediately, and then they're going to figure out the detail later. We're actually taking quite a cautious approach here, where we are working together with a delivery plan, and then we'll stand it up later once the detail's figured out. So I endorse that approach as well. That makes sense. It's very, very important work that's being done, and we don't want to jump into things before having worked through all the detail. Agree with His Worship about it being ring-fenced. It's a very, very tidy way of ensuring that our assets are kept safe, and the investment that ratepayers have made over the years is kept in the district. And otherwise, just generally supportive of the motion, and good work to everyone who's been involved in it. Well done. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Mackenzie. Councillor Jovich.
Thank you, Your Worship. I have issues with this, but I understand where we need to head to in the certification. You talked about, you had a question, you stated about exit strategies. Are they detailed in this report, in the plan?
As Andrew just highlighted, they're actually called commitment points. So if you have a look on page 167, you'll actually see them itemised there as commitment 1 and commitment 2. The idea is that we are reaffirming for all 3 councils that we're committing to the next stage. So it's about as we go through each stage of the document, before we actually set up the CCO, we make sure that everyone is in alignment and the process is going through correctly.
Thank you, yeah, and that's where I'm just questioning is why we don't have an exit strategy in this plan. Option 1, another question. When we went through the consultation, we chose to go with option 1, which was via the consult, which said no subsidisation. Now we've made a decision to go with harmonise or review at 3 years of possible harmonisation. Was there any thought to that being extended to 10 years?
So that's a very, very good question. So the fact of the matter is we've used the model which is very similar to what Papakura was doing with David Hawkins, where he made it very, very clear that the initial is to talk over and make sure that everyone is in alignment. So while there's a review going through, it does not mean that it will come into play by 2030. It could actually come into play in 2040. David Hawkins was quite clear on the process that it did take his council, or should I say the Auckland councils, 10 years before they got to that harmonisation process. And when they got to that harmonisation process, they actually made sure that no council was left out, and what they did is they actually chose the lowest price for water across, so all the councils paid the lowest price rather than paying the highest price.
So leading on from that question is obviously around the household income disparity. In 3 years, how do you propose that we sort out the household income disparity? Because this is the question, the plan says it's based on the lower of in terms of household incomes. So if Whangarei is higher, then how is that factored in? Is this, if we're only going to be charging on a certain percentage, a rate, is the rest just going to be debt and we're kicking it down the touch? And how has those numbers been factored in?
Yeah, so the figures that you're seeing in there in relation to the percentage difference for household, while that's just an indicator, that's not actually the factual figures. Our council has been quite specific about the charges and costs that it does, and I'm going to double check with Andrew to make sure I cover this off correctly. The charges that have come through and the charges that we charge as a council, and just like Kaipara and Far North, are directly related to the actual costs. So it is not any inflated costs or anything like that. And do be well aware that as a council, and as all 3 councils, we're now having to do the extra charges that have been applied by central government governing bodies, which works out to approximately $15 per household who are connected up to the water supply. Is that correct, Andrew? I'm just making sure I get the nod up there.
I understand that's in the quantum.
So these are additional charges which are being put on there as well, and they're going across all 3 councils. So it's quite specific. The ring fencing is about making sure that the costs are associated to that area there. Just, Council, I diverse just slightly. The Far North has a situation where they have areas within the Far North which want ring fencing themselves, so they are. So some areas do not want to pay for other areas. So there is that anomaly up there as well. So the ring fencing is designed to be able to be beneficial for all of the areas across Northland.
So then, in terms of harmonisation, after 3 years, they lose that, and they're going to be slammed. Then I assume, then, Your Worship.
Yes. So your question there is more relating to the harmonisation. Is it going to happen within 3 years? Again, that is the whole process of the review. So it's to see whether there is actually any change or whether there's actually an appetite to do that. There may actually be no appetite within the 3 councils to do that, and for any change to happen, it does need to have a majority involved in it.
That provides a segue to the next one. I mean, the plan appears to be based on connections. Does the new CCO levy ratepayers not using the supply? Now,
no.
If they're lifestylers and they move to town, the townies have subsidised have paid for things, and that doesn't fall through to rates or the value of the property sufficiently.
Yeah, so your question is relating to how things will be charged, and as I said before, it is directly related to the usage. So, for example, if you are not on water supply, you will not be charged, because it is... I'm going to double check with Andrew to make sure I've got that correct.
So the water services plan covers stormwater as well as both wastewater and water. So I think we're talking about the wastewater and water.
Yes, but yeah, the water services plan covers all three areas, which is water, sewage and stormwater. However, when it comes to the charging for the water and the sewage, that is only for the users. No, sure I'm getting it right here?
I might defer to Alan on this one. I think there is a proximity charge for the, if you're close to the water availability but don't use it.
Yeah, correct. Because we're in a restricted area, if you are in an area where part of that area, if you choose not to connect, you are still charged a fee for that ability. That's in our current rating water rates. And that I would imagine continue, but that's a decision for the CCO to make.
So there will be.
Still one of those decisions that all the finer details to go through, Councillor.
What's the effect on the UAGC and the general rating?
Well, Councillor, I believe that's going to be part of the discussions to go through for the next part, mainly because there may be some effect, because there'll be certain things that maybe get pulled out for across the whole board, as in the uniform annual charge. However, there may be parts of it which may not be. So it does, remember, we do have the stormwater, which is around for each area. Alan, you might want to just double check on that.
The revenue for both water and wastewater is already separate from the general rates, so there's no impact on the UAGC from this per se. However, we will be looking to what's the rest of council looks like after waters have gone, and there'll be a whole review done there, which will be part of the next long-term plan process, and that may impact on how general rates are set then. That's not about how the water rates are charged, it's about how we deal with what's left for the councils after these changes have taken effect.
So, Your Worship, so effectively this plan says that it's going to push the 100 million across to the new entity. So there's, I assume that then there's a lower rate in the general rates, and the lifestylers would be getting charged less because that wouldn't be factored into their general rating. However, I assume that once a rate review would be set, then that would change things, would it?
Yeah, so Councillor, you've hit it correctly. There is an assumption that there will be a reduction. We don't know what that reduction actual figure might be, because a rates review is required to be done to make sure it's done correctly, so it covers it off properly.
So it is shifting it to those with connections, and as per this plan, it's a very much an average rate, so we don't know in terms of individual properties if they're going to increase, decrease, or stay the same.
Again, that is all part of the process. Right now, it is more about making sure that we are all in the same line and focusing on the water services plan, which needs to be submitted by the 3rd of September.
Final question. Question H, and I know I'm going to get this the answer in a certain way that it's impossible. The working group, or just explain in terms of the working group, does this cease at the end of October in our election?
That is correct.
And what's the situation in terms of the working group with this in place? Does this working group continue in a different form post-election time?
So what it actually, as it states there, notes that the current elected members on the working group support the above reinforced, which is correct, the need for the incoming council to appoint elected members. So once again, what it's saying is the next council will have to appoint new members to the working group to make sure it keeps going.
Is it possible, Your Worship, to propose amendment to that H, because it says to appoint elected members. Now, AP, after Phil. Should we not be, after Phil, after AG, after Gavin, should we be bringing a little bit more flexibility in this that allows us to appoint other members outside of just elected members? Because from my feeling is and no objection to Kapuyu. Phil Hulse is probably all over this more than anyone else. And I question not having him possibly involved. So my question is, in terms of point H, whether what the process is to extend the appointment of members to this, and whether
Yeah, so what you're highlighting there, councillor, is a discussion that has taken place. The shareholders' agreement actually allows for someone to be appointed outside of council. One has to be elected member. The working group needs to be all elected members at this point. It does not stop the working group saying we would like to have extra people coming on. However, at the present moment, it is all about elected members because that's what the group is made up of.
So there's no way to change that in terms of us giving a directive or some direction in terms of vote?
The direction at the present moment that is provided by Councillor Hulse is that they all get it. The new council appoints the elected members ready going so they can keep working on the working group. The shareholders' agreement, which is also...
I accept that. I'm talking about the just talking about the working group. So is it possible to amend H so we took out to elected and just change to the need for incoming councils to appoint members?
I'm going to go to Andrew for reference to this one, okay?
Thank you. Through the chair, so the transition is built into a number of stages. So stage one is sort of prior to the incorporation of the CCO, and part of that transition process, there will be a transition advisory board established. We're just in the process of drafting the schools matrix around that, but I think there's an opportunity there to bring in some expertise in this process to support the elected members. So the governance model includes a council elected members group that works closely with this advisory group through that transition phase.
For the tab, is that for Whangarei District Council or all three councils?
All three councils. Councillor, think of it like JREG, which is the Joint Regional Economic Development Group. So just like with that, we appoint elected members onto that committee to run things, and that's exactly what's happening here. As the working group is getting it up to that point. It's not even actually at that point yet with JREG, it is about getting it to that point.
You know, I accept that. So, okay, I won't do an amendment purely on the basis is that it is the next council that will vote on this, and I would, hopefully that they do actually consider that, and there probably a comment through to you to be noted is that the tab actually allow other members. It works well with some of the other advisory boards that you've set up in this last election. For that, I probably will vote for this. However, if I'm fortunate enough to be back, it better sharpen up because based on it at the moment, it won't get my vote in the next one.
Appreciate that, Councillor Jovic, and yes, your notes will be taken on board. Thank you very much for that. Councillor Harding was first. I'm going to let go Councillor Harding first, okay?
Yep, no, that's cool. Just I've got an additional point to put on that.
You're public one. Okay, right, thank you. I was trying to work out who public one was again. Thank you, Councillor Connor. Councillor Harding.
E mihi ana ki a koe te koromata. Tēnā kōrua, and also mihi ana to Councillor Hulse and his support, his amendments. To Andrew and Alan, I'm sure you've got a fair idea where I'm going to be going. I asked it last time. What does hapu iwi representation look like? What does mana whenua engagement look like? Just tell me it's early in the piece, but we did talk about the shareholders' representatives. We're talking about governance models. We know that when we have, kind of experts at the table for us, it makes everything really work well. We have our own experts with mātauranga Māori that we can bring, that we can help shape the future of what local water done well looks like for the whole of Tai Tukarau. We've seen the shift from where we were with Three Waters done well. Don't want to dwell in that area. We're going forward. The work that the working group have done has been incredible. Moved swiftly, and so therefore, you know, that number 8, we want them to keep their foot on the pedal. Just where is mana whenua, where is hapu, where is somewhere that we can have our experts at the governance table, please? Kia ora.
As you've highlighted, Councillor, it is very early in the piece. Andrew, I believe you can answer this one quite clearly.
So currently, I think as we've spoken previously, the shareholding makeup is currently includes 1 elected member and 1 non-elected member, so councils may choose to nominate someone in that position. As part of the advisory group as well, we're just drafting the terms of reference for that, and having mana whenua and knowledge from a cultural perspective is included in the skills matrix of that group, so there may be an opportunity through that, but currently that's still at a draft stage, so we'll need to work that through. The first phase of this work is really understanding the foundational principles, and obviously the 3 councils have are quite different across the region in that area, so there's a lot of work to do in that space to bring that together. So that's one of the key things that we need to look at working over in the next few months.
Can I just, mihi ana ki a koe, thank you. It's really hard when you don't see anything, when you don't see anything in the landing documents, the foundation documents for the whole of this. But then, of course, Councillor Hulse has given me that, which is fantastic. It doesn't look so flash when it's in digital, but I absolutely appreciate the response and the efforts that everybody's putting into ensuring that we have that inclusive decision-making. Kia ora.
Thank you, Councillor Harding. Now, Public One, Councillor Connop.
Thank you. Yeah, I told Phil earlier, but you weren't here. I'm just going to speak to this one. We find ourselves in a unique situation. I'm just going to touch on what Councillor Jovic brought up before about fighting for Councillor Hulse to be retained in the space. I find it very unique that we're fighting for an unelected member to retain onto something, whereas in the past we usually fight for somebody to be an elected member on something. So I find that quite interesting to be brought up. But it's the unique experience of the history that he has is I can completely understand. We find ourselves in a space where we are leading the way. We have been in the space where we have our water infrastructure up to such a high degree, which is absolutely fantastic. We have done well in the past up till now, which is great. We also find ourselves in a situation where we're not up to standard in some places, and we still need a lot of work, and we're not as great as we do think in some spaces. I agree that we are really well off. We have had this direction given to us by central government, and we've had touched on where it started off with Three Waters and it went in that direction there, and now we've got the local waters done well. We fought the council as a whole and the decisions that we made, fought the Three Waters. I've got my own reservations in that space, but we're now facing the local waters done well. We knew at that point in time the costs were going to go up. We knew the costs were going to go up. We knew it. So I also find, looking out at the public and the comments made about the public about the Three Waters saying, we're not going to do this, and now that we got this, it's the same situation, and we're having the public complaining about either one. It's going to be there. It is. Also, changing is one of those things that not everybody is comfortable with. I've in the past have never been comfortable changing things, but then I've also had to make a customization as I have grown older. It's interesting as well that there's unbudgeted funding on this one that hasn't been brought up yet, that has been complained about in other situations, but we're just kind of letting that one fly. I don't have an issue with it considering the situation. For me, it kind of goes back, I've kind of fallen into this one each time we've come through, is when you find yourself with more, build a longer table, not a higher fence. Now this is a situation, we're in another unique place where we are doing very well for ourselves, and yet our neighbors, our cousins, our families who are just next door to us are not in the same situation. I understand we don't want to necessarily subsidize anybody else, but does anybody not want to go on holiday onto these locations where they will then experience their water? So nobody wants to go down south to Whangarei and actually, well, have drinkable water, or go up north and, you know, we need to look out for Tita Tokerau as a whole. When you look at the different land spaces and then the Maori kind of land and where the layers actually go, it doesn't care about the Whangarei District. And it kind of follows that type of thing. We all like to be able to travel around Te Tautakarau, and we know we don't want Auckland to say, well, it stops at the Branderwins and then people turn around and go home. We want people to come up north. Having everybody a part of it works for everybody. So it's just one of those things that we got to do what we got to do. It's going to be imposed upon us if we don't work together, and I'm hearing as well that we're working forward in the best possible situation, and who knows exactly what that may land in. I'm hoping for the best. Please, let's just work together.
Thank you, Councillor Connor. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'd just seek to make a slight amendment to that, and it's an addition, it's not a change. And that wording would be, that the next iteration of council consider Phil Hulse being asked to join with the group as an independent advisor to form up the joint water services delivery plan.
So before you move that, I need to make you understand that the water services plan is actually what's being signed off now and has to be submitted to government for the 3rd of September.
This is just so it's in train.
So having it worded so that it's referring to setting up it is probably the wrong words to be said.
Or make them fit. To join.
Again, Councillor, I remind you, I'm not a fan of having things on the fly.
Neither am I.
Okay.
But in this case, I'm making an exception.
Yeah. Andrew, I'm just conscious the way that's worded is not going to be technically correct.
No, it's probably if you are looking to adopt it, it's probably rather than the joint water service delivery plan, you might want to consider during the implementation phase or the planning phase. To join the group as an independent advisor during the, just get the words correct.
So just to make sure, so you're suggesting that as an independent advisor, to help with the implementation plan?
During the scoping and preparation phase, which is set out in page 166 of the agenda.
Your Worship, should it be more not in form of a recommendation that consideration by the next council be given to, in terms of the terms of reference for any transition advisory board, that we are to bring in outside profession.
And Councillor, this is what I'm trying to get the councillor's actual intention of the words here before we actually have a second of it, because I am very conscious that the wording has to be right, and at the present moment it may not technically be. So I need to make sure before we start going any further that we make sure that either we get the councillor's intention.
My intention, Your Worship, is to make sure that we harness the knowledge. So whatever the wording is, I'm happy for it to be changed.
Yeah.
I feel we have a lot to gain by retaining that knowledge that Councillor Hulse now has.
So, Your Worship, has Councillor Hulse been asked?
No, Councillor Hulse has not been asked. Councillor Hulse has always expressed his desire to be part of anything. However, I just need to point out, this is about this motion, and we need to make sure if this motion is going to be put, there is a seconder, And if this motion has been put, it's got to be written correctly so it doesn't actually cause an issue later on. So I need to make sure it's very clearly written and very clearly concise. Councillor Reid, would you like 5 minutes with Simon and Andrew to make sure that we can get this wording correctly for you? Because I am very conscious that the wording needs to be very particular. So before we continue any further, that's all. I'm also very concerned about the ramifications that this will have over the next council, and we need to make sure that we're not hindering that council as well. So and I know you've used the word consider, I'm just conscious that we need to make sure it's right before we even put it up, okay? Yep. So what we'll do is we'll just adjourn for 5 minutes while the team discuss that with Simon Reid to make sure, Councillor Reid, to make sure that's worded correctly.
Come to you.
Yep, yep. Phil?
Of course.
Yes, please.
Yep. I got my point across. What? Got my point across.
Councillor Reid, what are you doing at this point here?
Sitting on my chair. Thank you, Worship. Very short discussion and very happy with the outcome. I'm happy to withdraw. Number one, I definitely want my compatriot over here to have his right of reply at the end of this. But it has now been publicised and noted that my intention is that we do not lose the massive knowledge that Councillor Hulse has. So, that being said, we know it's been noted by staff and he will definitely be in consideration to be requested to help with the advisory. So I withdraw that motion.
Thank you, Councillor Reid. Okay, so while that, Councillor, I just wanted to highlight, as we've gone through this, as Chair of the Local Waters local water, all done well, you know, or the LWDW, something like that. I know, Councillor Peters. Look, it's actually been really good to chair this, because what we've had is we've had three councils working very, very closely together, and all three raising concerns of issues that they personally had. So it's about basically making sure those concerns are clearly aired, and that every party had the right to air those concerns, which was really great on that respect. The awesome part of it about it is that we've come up with this document, and there has been a lot of hours put in by the team. I mean, a lot of hours. Andrew has been working many, many hours in the middle of the night to sort this document out. And I know that the legal team have been involved with that, and I don't see Rebecca around. However, I know that she's been involved in it as well, along with the team from Ellen, and also from the finance team, and also from the other councils. We've had some amazing people working on this to get the document ready. It has gone through and taken in the concerns of our residents. There has been discussions through the election process where people have been talking about this council ignoring what the survey was put out. That's not the case. If anything, we have taken those comments on and made sure that our council has ring-fenced their assets to make sure they're protected for future use by our residents and for our residents. Thank you, Councillor Cooper. So the big thing going forward here is the document's actually written, and Councillor Hulse hasn't highlighted on, but I will highlight it on it, the unbudgeted funds where we talked about the 500,000. This is about making sure and getting reimbursed afterwards. So it's not actually going to be a debt on our council books. It is about transferring that debt from the back to the CCO, and the CCO then refunding council for those services, which is also, it's been logically well thought through to make sure that the residents of Whangarei are well looked after. It has always also been highlighted about the extra costs that will be imposed, which this is one thing which started to be imposed this year from these entities. In my discussion with some of these entities, that this is the Commerce Commission and Te Mata Atawai, I said to them, will you be ever coming up to Whangarei? And the indication was, oh, probably not. However, we still got to pay these fees for them to monitor us, which is very frustrating from my side of things. Because if you're never going to have someone monitoring you, why are you paying the fees? The thing is that Whangarei, as a region and as a district, has actually been doing very, very well. And I take note that several of the councillors here have highlighted that, which is absolutely brilliant to see. We all acknowledge how well Whangarei's actually been going on their respects. Far North and Kaipara are working on their issues. They have a lot of things that they're working through. And it's great to actually, again, as I said, it's great to have everyone at the table making sure the processes are done correctly. With that, I'm going to go across to Councillor Hulse for your right of reply.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the support around the table and its comments made too. So what we're in here, we're probably about 40% through the work. So it's still work in progress. And I want to emphasise that because the incoming council is going to have to deal with some pretty major decisions. You've got to make a decision whether you want to transfer debt away from our council onto a water entity. You want to, and all the safeguards around that. So what I'm highlighting here is we seem to get a lot of money and a lot of consultants and a lot of advice coming in on things that actually do the background work, but when it comes to the crunch, and we're forming a CCO, we're very light on CCO involvement, about the knowledge of how a CCO runs, the responsibility of those members, and how they answer back to the parent body, which is the three councils of Northland. And one of the things we actually had in our minutes was, what happens if the CCO doesn't work? And so the legislation allows for council to exit a CCO under particular circumstances. However, this would be a challenging process if the CCO has already been established. So we already noticed that, so we've got to come up with ways around it. And I was fortunate enough to chair the Northland Event Centre Trust, along with Councillor Deb Harding and Gavin Benny and Dominic Kula for a while. And there's a different responsibility when you're on a CCO as you're around a table as a councillor. And we need to keep that separate. What's intended here is we're going to get knowledgeable people in that water space who've got enough skills to cover the field of that new CCO's role. And that is a challenge. And the new council has to get their head around how they're going to pick a balanced team to operate, because it's very, very important. You know, I started my life, one of the reasons I joined council was I wanted a role, and I took up the infrastructure. I chaired that for 12 years, and we started from Laggins Beach and went to Tutukaka, protecting our water, protecting our beaches, and all that work. And at Whangarei Head Surge Scheme, we did the impossible, but we did it. And so we convinced council, and our present CEO is a big part of that. I was the chairman, he was my manager most of that time. We actually put a plan in place that council supported and funded, and we did it. Now, I feel that local water's done well is very much the same. We need to plan, we need to commit to the plan, but we need to deliver the plan. And delivering the plan can only work if we've got harmony in our CCA members, because they are the ones who are going to prioritise the work. They're the ones that are going to say, we're going to spend. What happens is, like if we said, okay, the first couple of years we're going to deal with any abatement notices, and they might be in the far north or Kaipara or Whangarei. The other two councils say, oh no, we want money spent in our area. So the line of communication is through the statement of expectations. There can only be one line drop down. So all the other councils have got to go through the parent body above it, the shareholders' council. And that's where we need some tough politicians to make sure we adhere to that process. Because what's at risk, this model is predicated on debt. I do not like debt. I like funding alternative solutions. We need a CCO, we need the body now to look at alternative situations. That has not been done. So what Councillor Yaves is saying, he's right on the money what he's saying there. We need to be really sure that we've examined all possibilities of funding. Because this here was done, we had a time limit put on by the government, and we had to meet the criteria that they set. We have done that. It's all in here. And transparency, you couldn't ask for any more transparent process. We've got 127 pages in an agenda. Every bit of information is here. So our public has got that, and they've got plenty of time to come back to the incoming council through the next annual plan, or what. There might have to be a special meeting just on this, but there'll be plenty of time to get their expectation. But we need strong people in the right places to make strong decisions. Because in water care in Auckland, remember, go back one term ago, Wayne Brown came in, the first thing he did was got rid of CCO, was water care. Got him off the balance sheet. And so water care now, at that stage, had a debt of 440 million. Now they're going out to raise 3.4 billion. Because they're away from council, they've got a separate balance sheet. But, you know, the borrowing capacity, we need to do something different to make things work. And every now and again, you've got to make a step change. But I just want to say to our ratepayers and whoever's listening is, we've got some good people in the room, and we're all trying to get the best results. And we're working with other councils, and with my contacts through Chairman of Northern Rugby Union for years, I know a lot of those guys in the far north. I know they can trust some of the leadership we've put in place. And I think we're on a good chance to work as Northern as a province. We've done it with J Ridge. This is the next step, and we'll just continue that work, because I like being a Northerner. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Well said. With that being said, all those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We're now going to move on to item 6.9, page 279, and I believe that Councillor Reid, you're going to move this one.
I certainly shall, Your Worship. Thank you. Recommendations that the Council, 1, agrees to share part of its raw water allocation from the Waipao stream with the Wharatiri Maori Reserves Trust. 2, approves the attached agreement in principle covering the sharing of water. 3, authorises the Chief Executive to make minor changes to the agreement as necessary and to sign the agreement.
I believe I've got Councillor Harding there because it was actually seconding that. So, Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Your Worship. I won't go through the masses of detail. This has been 20 plus years in the making, and I was fortunate enough to be chosen as the chair of this working party, for which I'm thankful, as it lies in my ward, the Mangakahia Mangatapere ward. Ably assisted by Councillor Harding and Councillor Patrick Holmes, whose input from those two has been absolutely invaluable. Andrew Carvell and Andrew Venmore have been our staff leads on this, and the input from them has been particularly gratifying to see. Their ability to negotiate, make amends, shift the goalposts, so that everybody is still in the game and still happy. To the Trust representatives, Milan and Merrill, who I believe are both out. There they are. Can I ask that...
Councillor, speak to your motion, please.
Thank you, Your Worship. The participation on behalf of the hapu has been amazing, to say the least. From our strong beginnings from both teams, to find a way through has been an interesting challenge. It wasn't one that was insurmountable, and I saw that early on when we had a meeting on the local marae, and that was, I think, the turning point for me, was we can make this happen. We just have to be a little bit more amenable towards each other's wishes. And full credit to everybody involved. We've managed to come up with this agreement today. And for that, thank you to the fellow councillors. Thank you to the hapu and those people you see standing right there in front of you. Without them, we would not be doing this today. This is groundbreaking for the country, not just Whangarei District.
Thank you, Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Worship.
I'm going to move to Councillor Harding.
Mihi ana kia koe, thank you, te koro matua, and absolutely 100% behind you, Councillor Reid, to the whānau, to the hapu, mihi ana kia koutou. Awesome that you're able to be in the chambers here today, because this is a legacy, this is historic, and this is tika, this is right. And it's taken, it's taken the voices from external people, from other hapu, from other iwi, from other CEOs, from other councils. We've taken them all into consideration, and there's been a lot of mind shifts, huge amounts that have helped us to get to this amazing piece of work that we've got in front of you. So I just want to leave it at that, e te koro matua. I'm so grateful for the whānau, for the trustees' patience and their willingness to stay at the table, because we know that's the hardest thing, is to stay at the table, to keep the kōrero going and get the results that we need today. So, mihi ana kia koutou katoa. Kia ora.
Well said, Councillor Harding. Councillor Holmes.
Your Worship, thank you. I also strongly support this, and I would like to just put on record my appreciation to Councillor Reid for the way he's led this. It's been there've been difficult and sometimes contentious discussions around the table, and I also want to acknowledge the our colleagues in the corner here who sat around the table with us, who entered into these negotiations in a positive and entirely honourable way. And I think this, for me, one-term councillor, I think looking back the 3 years I've been on council, this will probably be the highlight for me, and one of the things I shall feel proudest of, that we have brought this to the table, got consensus, and to take my colleague Deborah's words on this, I think this is historic, I think it's groundbreaking, I think it's right. And I sincerely hope my colleagues on the table will vote for this. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Peters.
Kia ora. And I also support this, but I also want to say how the manaaki of the hapu has what manaaki they've had to all of the residents of our area over many years with this water. I think this is a step on the way, and I want to endorse the people on our council and the elected members that were part of it and the people that are supporting this to go ahead. But also, I really think that the hapu have gone over and above in this negotiation. So thank you.
Well said, Councillor. Councillor Olsen.
Thank you, Your Worship. I would just like to say a huge thank you to everybody who has enabled and facilitated this agreement. For me, I have to say the turning point was the site visit. To me, that provided me with confirmation of your passion. So yes, I fully support this, and well done to everybody who's been involved. So thank you so much, everybody.
Councillor Connor.
Thank you. The voices around the table have already said it, that the passion that has been seen, that has been shown, that the discussions from a difficult space to actually work with has been able to slowly combine and actually get a good outcome from it. Because council can be such a hard behemoth to deal with, the fact that it's taken so long to get this great outcome is a great success. We have other failings in spaces, and as we've already had noted, the passion and dedication that hapu members and mana whenua around our district have given is absolutely commendable. Our long hope this stays, and that this is a step in the path of working towards a better future for our district, for mana whenua, for everybody within Whangarei. And the site visit was fantastic, to be able to actually be on site, see it, as Councillor Olsen has mentioned. But if you see the social media and hear the stories of what has happened previously, it's just, we are right at the tip of the iceberg. There's been so much that's been gone past that it's well done to everybody who's been working through this to get to this point.
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Roka.
Thank you, Worship. Yeah, obviously just want to reiterate the kōrero that's already been shared. Tautoko the kōrero, ko kōrero here. Massive acknowledgements to all involved, Councillor Reid and his team for getting this over the line. I know our hapu and our iwi and our whānau, our marae, it says, you know, they've been sharing this waterway since the early 70s, and no doubt their ancestors, tūpuna, have been looking after that place for a heck of a lot longer than that. So for this to come here today and to be able to do this in this way is a testament to the work. Also a testament, I guess, to, or an example, I guess, of how it can look if hapu and marae are engaged with appropriately, engaged with well, meaningfully, powerfully, and also resourced well to be able to have that conversation. So let this be an example of the partnerships that can be created with meaningful engagement, meaningful resourcing, and then what we can create from that. Kia ora, Your Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Roka. Councillor Hulse.
It might sound a bit short, but first of all to the Whangarei members, Marae committee members who are here, good to see you here again. And I just want to go recall a bit of an incident about 2.5 years ago when you were in this room and you actually walked out the door and you're a bit despondent because there's no answer given to you what we're going to do through the long-term plan. And I can remember saying, well, we'll get a working party together and we'll work through the issues. And this just reinforces once again of having a working party and having councillors, hapu, whoever we're dealing with in the room, going through, because there's always a lot of history behind a lot of these things. So well done, Councillor Reid and Councillor Harding and Councillor Holmes, and thanks very much for the Whangarei Marae trustees to working with us. So thanks very much. Thank you.
Well said there, Councillor Hulse. Look, we've done acknowledgements to the hapu, and I totally understand the comments and the commitment that's been put on from the hapu side of things. There's also been commitment from our team, our water team, and Andrew, and well, both Andrews there. I know that you both have been working on it tirelessly over many, many years to get to this point, and it is also vitally important that we've highlighted our Aaron and Mark, because I know they've been hiding behind the scenes as well, involved in this, to make sure this whole process has happened, to make sure that communication's understood and taken from both sides. I know there's been give and take. I understand that totally, and I understand the negotiating skills that Councillor Reid has actually had to employ from his trucking days through to making sure that it's on site. So it is good to see that happen. And I really do appreciate the amount of work that we've done to get this to the table. So well done to everybody. Thank you for all the time. Councillor Reid, would you like your right of reply?
I would, Your Worship. I just mentioned briefly that it's groundbreaking, not just for us, but for the country. But in particular for us, we now have full backing from our hapu, who are the guardians of the springs, that they have not conceded, I suppose, but they have agreed to guarantee that supply of water for our growing city. And it is huge that the amount of water that comes from that hill and through those springs, not just the one, but several, is massive for the city. And I hope that in perpetuity, the residents of our city do not forget the kaupapa that has come from the Trust and its members. Thank you very much.
Division.
Division has been called by Councillor Connor. All those in favour, please raise your right hand.
Councillor Jovic, Councillor Ruka, Councillor Reid, Councillor Peters, Councillor Olsen, Councillor Mackenzie, Councillor Holmes, Councillor Harding, Councillor Hulse, Councillor Golightly, Councillor Cooper, Councillor Connop, Councillor Benny, and His Worship the Mayor. Unanimous.
Thank you very much. Well done. At this point, we are going to take a 15-minute break because I believe there has to be something to be signed.
Your Worship, I think it's appropriate that we should invite a comment from our hapu partners.
I'm not sure whether they want to make a comment at this point or they want to make a comment after it's signed.
Whānau mā hure ki whatitiri maunga ngā hapu, ana ko ngā pui nui tonu tiwi. E te koro matua e ngā kaunihera, me ma kaunihera e mihi atu kia koutou. E mihi atu kia koutou, tō koutou kaha, tō koutou maia, I rungi I tēnei āhuatanga I tēnei rā. E mihi atu kia koutou. A koutou hoki ngā whanaunga e noho nei rungi I ngā tepu o te kaunihera. A koutou hoki e roa te wā e mohana tēnei kia koutou e te mema e Phil House e mihi atu kia koe. E roa hoki e te hoarahi e haere tonu tāua ki angamua te kaupapa I rungi I tō mātua hāpuri. Ono mei koe hoki e Andrew e mihi atu kia koe koutou katoa. Huri au I roto e te reo tuanua. I just want to acknowledge the koro matua and all of the councillors, Reid, our whanaunga Deb Harding, our councillor Holmes, Andrew, Phil, Aaron, all the fellows that have brought us all together. Every single one of you it's been a journey for our hapu. It's a historic journey, and we've come to a historic moment. And you have all given us the ability to hope for a better future for everybody. Whatitiri, the Poroti Springs, is the conduit for a sustainable community at large, not just for our hapu, but for every member in this community at large. And we hope we can all go away from today to celebrate what has become a huge milestone today. I just want to hand over this time to our kai whakahaere, Meryl, who has led, along with Milan, who has led our journey, who has sat with you people while we, a lot of us, were in the background supporting them from home.
Tēnā koutou. I won't take much of your time, but I have to say I'm completely proud of our team and proud of all you councillors. I'm very proud to belong to the city, to know that we have the support that we have around the table, and a massive thank you to our working group, Deb, Simon, Andrew and Aaron, and also Patrick, and also to all the councillors, Mari for coming to the marae, and you know it wasn't an easy thing. We're just very, very grateful for all of your mahi to help us get this over the line, to provide a bit of justice and security for us, but also we've always been proud to supply water for the city. We've always wanted to, you know, we've always said yes, you know, this is what we want to do for our city. So I think this is an example of how we can move forward in the north. I want to say a really special thank you to Jim Sefton, who was there right in the beginning, fighting away for us too. Like, I'm very grateful, Jim. You know, we had some crunchy moments. Yeah, some very crunchy moments. And of course, Milan, he's our water warrior of the north of the country. We're so fortunate to have him at the negotiating table. He's hard-nosed, and he helped get us there. And there's so many of us in our team. I want to say Taipari's very unwell today. He was meant to be here, and Lorraine is in Fiji at a wedding, but they would normally be here. And young Sarah, our PhD, beautiful, she's sick too, so she was meant to speak instead of me. But yes, I'm so proud of our team. Hona works in water. We all work in water management, and so there's a lot of experience in our team, and we want what I think, not just the fact that we're sharing water, the fact that we're going to look after this waterway together means everything to us. We want it looked after. If that water needs, if the water allocation needs leaving in the stream, we will do that. You know, the health of that way is the most important thing to us. Nō reira tēnā koutou. Ranga ake, I roto I tēnei whare, ka tura ki tērā o te aroha e. Tai ahai ruki, te tinana I te aroha, e kore rau wai tū tika e te tai maha e. O te re o te aikiha, e tai a te wete, ko te here o te aroha e mauroa e. Tai mahai ruki, te tinana I te aroha, e kore rau wai tū tika I te tai maha e. Roi mata tūturu, I taku tirohanga ake, he manawa hotu he nui o te aroha e. Tai mahai ruki, te tinana I te aroha, e kore rau wai tū tika I te tai maha e.
Koe noa e hale tonu tēnei ke rātou e ngā mate ia marau o ngā haue whāhaere. Haere koutou ki Hawaii ki nui, Hawaii ki roa, Hawaii ki pāmamo. Tau ko tahi koutou I reira, ka tīmatu tō koutou ka ketanga mai ki te kāinga tūturu tēnei mo te tangata. E noho kahanei koutou e rungi ngā ringa mahanoa ngā tini atu e ngā mate hai. Ka piti hono tātou hoki te kanui ora, ka hoki mai tēnei, anō e mihi atu kia koutou e ngā rangatira, e te koromatua, a koutou hoki ngā rangatira o te hāpuri o te tātou rohe o Whangarei te terenga prawa, e mihi atu kia koutou me ngā atua tini e manaki tiaki a koutou I ringi tō koutou mahi. Tēnā koutou kia rono tātou ka.
Kia ora tātou katoa. Take you back to the Waitangi Tribunal. I think it was about 2018, 2019 up in Kirikiri. And the tribunal asked after Paul Hamer presented his 462-page report. The tribunal asked Mr Hamer, what's the way forward here for Hapu and for the Crown Government, Northern Regional Council, Whangarei District Council. And Paul Hamer thought for a minute or two, and then he said to the tribunal, sir, we have to find the middle ground. Both sides have to find the middle ground. And that's what we've done here today. And we thank you all, councillors, for your brave decisions. It's not easy. It is historic. Thank you, Simon. And I don't want to mention names because there's just too many, and then I'll leave someone out because everyone played a role here. But we thank you all, Whangarei District Council. Nō reira, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou koutou. Kia ora.
are these elected members? Well, they better sit back down again because we're going to kick it off.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Oh, nice.
We've got a quorum?
Yes.
Okay, we've got a quorum. We are going to kick it off. It's now 18 past 11. We will now kick off the meeting again. And we will be starting on 6.10, which is page 287, and I believe Councillor Harding would like to move something.
Mihi ana I te koromata, aroha mai. We're still waiting to sign a piece of paper or something, but okay. Kei te pai.
Unfortunately, that bit of paper is still with the legal team at the present moment.
Okay, what page are we on?
287.
Thank you, te koromata. Just trying to come off that high. For this whakataunga, for this recommendation, I would really like to move a procedural motion to lie this kaupapa on the table until next month, September meeting. We talked previously about making sure we get the wording right. I want to make sure that we have the wording right in one of the recommendations so that it can be effective and we can get everybody's support. And rushing it through, and I know it's taken a long time, but rushing it through today is probably not where I'm going to get the best support. So with that, I'd like to move a motion, procedural motion, to lie this kaupapa on the table until our September meeting.
Thank you, Councillor Harding, and I've got Councillor Holmes is seconding that. Procedural motion has been moved and seconded. All those in favour?
Aye.
Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, Councillor Harding. We will now move on to 6.11, page 303. Councillor Harding, are you wanting to move this one as well?
I'll move this on, Your Worship.
Councillor Phoenix will move this. Excellent.
Yeah, I was still chewing on biscuits, sorry, Your Worship.
Anyway, so you'd like to read this then?
Yes, what page was it, Your Worship?
303.
Oh, I just found it, thank you. Thank you, Your Worship. That the Council receives the independent final draft Tiriti o Waitangi health check report, provides feedback on the final draft Tiriti o Waitangi health check report and its recommendations. Note that the final draft of the Tiriti o Waitangi health check report was presented and received by Te Kārearea Strategic Partnership Standing Committee. Note that Buddle, Finlay and Fire Legal will consider any feedback provided from Te Kārearea and Council and will prepare and submit a final report to Council. 5. Note that following receipt of the final report, Council staff intend to prepare an action plan in response to the recommendations of the health check for consideration by Te Kārearea and Council.
Not a problem. You've moved that, and I will. Councillor Harding will second that. That's no, she's happy for me to second that. Right, I will second that. Councillor Roka, would you like to speak to it?
Yes, please, Your Worship. Just quickly, our previous item, with our whānau from our Poroti, with our hapu and iwi and the relationships that have been built, and the momentous day that we've had in sharing of that resource between, Whangarei District Council, the wider hapu, the wider community, and the hapu. I think it's just a great example and a great segue into this particular item and what it means and what it can look like if we work strategically in a way that's meaningful with hapu, marae, and iwi. And then from that meaningful engagement, we can get amazing results like the one we've had previously today that benefits our hapu, that keeps their kaitiakitanga, their guardianship intact, their mana intact, while also moving forward in terms of what council needs and what the wider district and the wider community needs. So this Te Riti o Waitangi health check allows us to make sure we make similar decisions going forward. So, tautoko, thank you, Worship.
Thank you, Councillor Roka. Councillor Peters.
Thank you. I'd also really like to endorse the whole team for having undertaken this piece of work. It's really good to have in black and white a path forward and the things that can be improved and the things that we're doing well. So thank you very much to the whole team that worked on it.
Is there any other discussions? As there's no other discussion, Councillor Rook, I'm going to go back to your right of reply.
No, thank you, Worship. Thank you.
Okay, right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to 6.12, which is on page 355. Councillor Reid, I believe you would like to move this? Or would you like Councillor Holmes wanting to move it?
I'll move this, Your Worship.
I thought you might. I just double check on that.
You beat me to it. Okay. The recommendation is that the Council, 1, approves additional capital spend of up to $210,000, excluding GST, in the 2025-26 financial year. Notes that this capital spend will be reimbursed by the Para Bay Residents and Ratepayers Association Incorporated, with funding raised from the Lottery Community Facilities Fund. 3, notes that Council has received these funds from PBRRAI for the purpose of construction of the Para Bay Skate Park.
And Councillor Reid was seconding that. So, Councillor Holmes, you'd like to speak to that?
Yep, just very briefly. This is really just an accounting exercise just to get things moving. The association has been very successful in raising funds from the Lottery Communities Facility Fund. Building is now well underway. The contractors are making good progress. And so this is largely just an accounting. I mean, you'll see if you scroll down, there is a small revised budget surplus of $4,000 in there. So that's all good as well. So I would encourage us to please support this.
And thank you, Councillor Holmes, for highlighting that. And yes, you're right, it is in construction work at the present moment. It's looking good. And this is one of those great partnerships, Councillor Holmes. And I know that you've been behind the scenes working on this. So well done. And actually getting that partnership again working in our communities, which is basically making sure that the council funding and community funding can work together for the greater good for the community. So well done in doing that. Is there any other discussions? No other discussions. Councillor Holmes, would you like your right of reply?
Just to say one other thing, what goes alongside this is that, again, thanks really to Jim. We've also managed to get another toilet block installed out there as well. So in terms of the benefit to the community, the skate park is great, but there's other improvements out there which the team have been really great in bringing forward. So thank you.
Yeah. Well pointed. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We're now going to move on to item 6.13, which is 359, the Land Transport Procurement Strategy 2025 to 28. And I believe, Councillor Reid, you've got your light on. And are you going to wait patiently for Jeff to sit down, or are you just going to read?
I'm always patient with Jeff. Thank you, Your Worship. That the Council, 1, approves the Whangarei District Council Land Transport Procurement Strategy 2025 to 2028. 2, delegates authority to the Chief Executive to make non-material changes to the Land Transport Procurement Strategy 2025, and that should be 2028, not 208.
Yep.
Prior to submitting it to the New Zealand Transport Agency for their endorsement.
I will second that for you, and would you like to speak to it?
Yes, Your Worship, thank you. As you can see, New Zealand Transport Agency subsidises us to the tune of 53%. That is over half of what we spend, which is, to me, that is a massive enabler for us to provide for our ratepayers and visitors and just road users in general. Without that, we would be hamstrung and our rates would then be right through the roof, or we would be using horses for travel, simply because there would be no roads. So with that, perhaps, with your indulgence, Your Worship, Jeff may be able to give us a little bit of an outline on that. Thank you.
Jeff, is there anything you'd like to add to this?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. So one of the rules under the Land Transport Management Act is that council has to have a NZTA endorsed procurement plan if we wish to claim subsidy. This procurement plan is very simple, very basic, fully complies with council's own procurement plan. However, if council wanted to do something different in any particular exercise, and we have done that recently with our Cyclone Gabriel responses, where we formed some consultant and then contractor panels to enable fast delivery, we can do that. We just have to apply for specific approval above this plan. So this plan doesn't restrict council effectively from doing anything it wants to do, other than if we're doing something different to the current plan, which is different to council's own procurement plan, then we have to get specific approval.
Councillor Jovic.
Thanks, Your Worship. I think that's just critical to note for the public as we are streaming this. This isn't contrary to the procurement plan that we actually signed off or to review and extensively, to review extensively in the coming months. So just for the public to note that that is still a priority, and it's essential that that does get done. But this is in terms of actually just liaising and working in with the Land Transport Authority.
Thank you, Councillor Jovic. Any other discussions? Councillors, I just want to highlight this, and when Councillor Reid did highlight on the 53%, this is relatively low because the regional council gets a subsidy of 54%, Kaipara gets 63%, and I think the far north gets 71%. So it's one of those subsidy things. However, all the projects that are in there, that are listed in there, are ones that will get signed off by NZTA, and that means they are allowed to have that 53%. So it's bonus of those projects and getting the right projects that can be signed off. So not all of our projects get signed off because they do have a very distinct procedure, and it's highly important that they have been signed off in this process, and the process has gone through. Councillor Peters.
Just a question, Your Honour. Is that because they suffered more under the cyclones? Did they give the higher percentage because they suffered more under the cyclone?
No, the percentage is actually more related back to now, Jeff, you're going to have to correct me on this, the percentage is related back to basically the population, the roads, and I think it's also the average, it's about income as well, isn't it, Jeff?
Yes, Your Worship, ability to pay.
Yeah, ability to pay.
So the total subsidy rate across New Zealand is 50%, but each council goes up and down slightly accordingly, depending on their ability to pay.
Supplementary question. So if we did suffer a major road event where lots of work had to be done, would that money come, would there be more money assigned from this, or would it come from a disaster fund?
So when it comes to civil defence, we'll call it a civil defence emergency. Slightly off topic, but when a civil defence emergency happens, now Jeff can correct me on this as well, I believe it's an additional 30% gets added to it. So for Whangarei's situation, it would be go from 53 to 83. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yes, Your Worship. So roading is different from civil defence because we get our funding through NZTA. There is a formula they use, and it's the subsidy rate we get increases depending on the size of the event against basically our rate take, and it goes up in steps accordingly. So as part of Cyclone Gabriel, for example, we got up to 91% for some of our works, but it is based on the size of the event in any one financial year against effectively your rate take.
Bit of a side issue there, but thank you very much for clarifying that, Jeff. Appreciate that. Councillor Jovich, you've got another question?
Yeah, is there going to be any harmonisation exactly the same as LWDW? Because, you know, there's 25 to 30% disparity here in terms of the household incomes that we've just been told. So the flow-on effect, is there going to be any consistency in terms of transport to local waters, please?
I know that there is discussions going on at the present moment about the reviewing of the percentages. As for the final outcome, there would be no harmonisation unless there was a CCO for the whole of the region, and in that case there is not. Each council is completely separate. Jeff, have I got that correct?
Correct, Your Worship.
I'm just concerned that the same rationale will flow onto local waters and the cost to the ratepayers on a previous agenda item.
Point's been taken. All those, that's when head. Councillor Reid, would you like your right of reply?
Yes, thank you, Your Worship. When you look at the difference in the FAR rate, which is funding assistance rate, just for my friends.
I'm glad I'm your friend.
Ours at 53 and the Kuiper and the far north being higher is because we do what we do so well, I presume.
Yeah.
Driving the roads in the other two districts, I'm more than happy at our 53% rather than their higher rate, because our roads are so much better than theirs, and to get theirs to match our standard, they would need a lot more than what they get.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Point's been taken. Right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to 6.14, which is page 389. This is the continuing of council business over the 2025 election period. I will move this. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Mackenzie will second that. Shall I read this one? Okay. Councillor Cooper is declaring an interest, and I do see that listed there, yes. Okay, so that the council, 1, notes in relation to this Northern Civil Defence Emergency Management Group, A, that Northern Civil Defence Emergency Management Group continues during the election period. B, that His Worship the Mayor will continue as council's representatives on the Northern Civil Defence Emergency Management Group until the day after the declaration of the results of the election. C, that there will be no council representative on the Northern Civil Defence Emergency Group from the day after the results of the election until the incoming council has appointed its new representative. D, that in the event of an emergency and emergency powers are needed, the Ministry of Emergency Management can declare a state of local emergency. 2, confirms that the following committees are deemed not to be discharged on the coming into office of the council election at the October 25 triennial elections, with the elected members represented on committees deemed not to be discharged to be reviewed post-elections, and that is the District Licensing Committee and the Airport Noise Management Committee. 3, confirms that the City Care Committee is discharged with the re-establishment and membership of this committee to be reviewed post-election. 4, In relation to the District Licensing Committee, Council recommends that the Chief Executive appoints Councillor Ken Cooper as Commissioner to the District Licensing Committee under Section 193 of the Sale of Supply of Alcohol Act 2012, and B, recommends that the appointment commences from the day after declaration of the results of the October 2025 trial and ceases when a decision on the appointment of a new Deputy Chairperson is made. 5, disestablishments all working groups or parties established by Council with the exception of the Northern Water Services Water Group and continuance and membership of which will be considered post-election. Right, I had to cover off all that quite quickly for you. This is standard practice, and we've done this previously in the other election processes. This is basically to make sure that there is a continuum. With the election process as it happens, there needs to be clarity over some of these points, and that's why we go through this formal part of it to make sure it's very clear and concise so that the council know who can be appointed and who can be talked to in relation to civil defence and also in relation to some of the other committees. Again, this is a standard process and we have gone through it many times before, so we're in that process and keeping things clean and tidy. Councillor Olsen, you'd like to speak to it?
I have a question, if I may. Thank you. So it says that His Worship the Mayor will continue as council rep on the Northland Civil Defence Emergency Management until the day after the declaration of the results. And then the next one says there will be no council representative on the Northland Civil Defence from exactly the same day, from the day after the results of the election. So isn't that a contradiction in terms?
I believe we may have written something wrongly, but I'm going to just check with Emily.
And
may we just get this answer first?
Well, I was just going to finish with...
We'll get the question here. We'll get the question answered first.
Through the chair, it's just standard practice, just acknowledging that the mayor remains as mayor until after the election, and at that point we have no count. That is the point at which we have no council until we've sworn our new council in, and so that is the gap that we have to cover, which is covered by the minister.
Okay, 2 more questions. Are you not a council representative?
Yes, I am.
So then you shouldn't be on there. Secondly, the next question is with regard to Councillor Cooper. He's also a council representative, so he should not be on there either. So shouldn't there be maybe a senior leadership person appointed or somebody like that rather than a council rep?
Anyway, before we start going through this process, this is standard practice that we go through. The mayor, councillor, the mayor is the civil defence lead on this particular situation, as has been for all of this term and previous terms. The role is basically to go through that process of the election. Once the election is appointed and stated, at that point there is a gap, and hence the reason why D, it says there that in the event of emergency, the emergency powers that were needed, the Ministry of Emergency Management can declare a state of local emergency. So that is a completely different situation. Now, in relation to the district licensing, again, this is a continuation. If there is an issue that is brought up and needs to be dealt with in that time period, that there is someone who is appointed to that. Since Councillor Cooper has been doing that role up to this point, that will continue until until the announcement's been made.
Thank you, Your Worship. I'm hearing everything you say, but to me, the wording needs changing.
Emily?
Through the chair, just to confirm, it is a matter of the process of bringing in a new council where we have the gap in terms of the Emergency Management Committee. In terms of the District Licensing Committee, we have an independent chair who is normally available. It is not normally Councillor Cooper who would chair that. He is the deputy, and he would only be called in if our chair is not available. But it's just to ensure continuance of those services.
Councillor Hulse. Councillor Jovich, sorry.
Yeah, Your Worship, just in terms of this resolution, where does the CARE Steering Committee sit on this? Because it seems to be silent on this, and whether that should be included in point 2, or is that going to be carried over to 6.15 decision making?
So if you look at item 3, it confirmed, sorry, not 3,
no, it's
5. 5 basically says this is establishment of all working groups or parties established by council, and with the exception of the Northern Water Services Working Group, the continuance and membership of which will be considered post-election. So all working groups will be disestablished.
Exactly my question. Is that prudent in regards to the KEA steering committee?
So the KEA working group actually has a chair at the present moment, and that's going through that process. This is about the elected members on that, and all working groups from the elected members will be disestablished at that point.
So does that mean that Councillor Cooper and whoever and Councillor Olsen are on that committee and not able to be on that committee any further?
From the date of the election, from the actual time of the election, yes.
Okay, I'm sure it'll function without them, but no, strange. All right, no, that's all right.
Yeah. This is, and I do stress, this is the same practice that's been done every year, every term, to make sure that things are done correctly for the process of the...
I appreciate it. A little bit different because the steering committee is a very much of a new committee, so it is a new beast, and I'm not sure whether we've probably taken that into account appropriately, but I'm sure Graham will let us know.
Absolutely. Councillor Hulse.
Yes, mine just, in the text down at 4.4 on page 291, we need to alter the first, take the dis off the sixth word to make it read right, please.
4.4?
Yeah, the six words, we've got, they're all working parties disestablished by council are to be disestablished. It should be established by.
Yeah, established by council are to be disestablished, and that's correct. So the dis part of that, very clear point there, well spotted, Councillor Hulse. I'm sure Emily will make sure of that as noting within the document. Thank you very much. Is there no other discussions? Basically, as I said before, this is, as the right applies, basically saying this is standard practices, is to make sure that the council has a clear running forward, going forward, so we make sure that over the election period it is clear and concise of who is in responsibility of what part. Right applies has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Would you like it recorded? Okay, Councillor Olsen would like it recorded. Thank you, councillors. We'll now move on to, it's been carried, we'll now move on to item 6.15, which is on 393, page 393. And there is a slight change to number 5. So I will read this. Do I have a seconder while I'm... Sorry, yeah, Councillor Mackenzie's going to second that as well. Okay, so I will read this. There's a slight change, though, so he may turn around and change his mind on that. That the council, 1, notes that the final council meeting will be held on the 25th of December 2025 and that all other council meetings will cease then. Decision making prior to the official declaration of results. 2, delegates to any 2 of either the Mayor, Deputy Mayor and Chairperson of either the Finance, Infrastructure, Strategy Planning and Development, Community Development or Te Karerea Strategic Partnership Standing Committee the power to make or on behalf of the council urgent decisions that may be needed between the final council meeting and the day the term of office of current members ends. 3, notes that if the significant matter requires consideration following the final council meeting and up to the end of the term of current members, an extraordinary council meeting will be called. Decision making after the official declaration of results. 4, delegates to the Chief Executive the full powers of Council, except for those responsibilities, duties and powers specifically excluded in Clause 32, 1A through to H of Schedule 7 of the Local Government Act 2002, or any other act, and from the day after the electoral officer declares the results of the election until the convening of the first meeting of the new council, scheduled for the 5th of November 2025. 5, approves the increase of the Chief Executive's financial authority to $10 million, excluding GST, from the day, this is the words, from the day after the electoral office declares the results of the election until the convening of the first meeting of the new council, scheduled for the 5th of November 2025. 6, notes that if any urgent decision-making processes is employed during this period, it will be reported to council or relevant committee as soon as practicable in the new triennium. 7, notes that if a significant matter requires consideration following the first meeting of the new council and the appointment of the deputy mayor and committee chairpersons, and an extraordinary council meeting will be called. Are you happy to second that, Councillor Mackenzie? You are. Great. And as stated previously, this is a process that we are going through. I think, Emily, you've got something else to add to that?
I'm afraid it's just been pointed out to me that under point 1, where we note that the council meeting will be held on the 25th of September and all other council meetings will cease, that throws into contention the Finance Committee, which is normally after the council meeting.
Fair comment.
We may need to just add that in.
Okay, so I will, with the approval of my seconder there, I will make sure the wording, and here we have Alan making sure the wording is correct. The wording will be... Yep. Notes that the final council meeting will be held on the 25th of September 2025 and will be the Finance Committee, correct? And that all... I'm just double checking to make sure we're good. Yep.
So the suggestion is just to add at the end of that sentence that all other council meetings will cease other than the Finance Committee on the 25th of September. Yeah.
What's written up there probably covers it clearly.
It does. Thank you.
Councillor Mackenzie, since you second that, are you comfortable with that? Okay, cool. Minor technicality which we overseas or missed on that. So Ellen is coming into.
So it's the following meeting of you've got the following meeting of council, not the following council meeting. Yeah.
Those two things. Councillor Mackenzie, you comfortable with that? Right, sweet. As I said, councillors, this is just a formality to make sure that we are following the processes that we've set up and that all things follow through in that time period. Councillor Reid.
Thank you, Your Worship. Bottom of page 395, I just note that one contract there, which is massive. And I just would like to note that we watch that with interest.
Yeah, and thank you for highlighting that, because actually all of those contracts that are listed there are ones that I made sure were quite clearly stated in the document. We do need to make sure that things are done properly. The idea that the physical works contract may come back before, like I said, may come back in September. We won't, the team are presently working on that at the present moment, so it may end up after that time period. So that's why it's listed there. It's quite clearly, and that's the reason why the Chief Executive's financial authority has been increased to 10 million to make sure it covers it correctly.
I'd just like to note that the budget on that project, we're walking a fine line. Yeah. And it is on my radar that we come in under the budget, not over it. Thank you.
Point has been taken and understood, and Jim is nodding there away as he understood exactly what you're saying. Councillors, is there any other comments? As there is no other comments, the right of reply is there will be no right of reply. So all those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. We have one supplementary agenda, which is 6.16, which is on page 3 of the supplementary agenda, which is the funding agreement for Forum North Trust. And Councillor Mackenzie, are you moving this one? Would you like to read that out, please, then?
Thank you, Your Worship. That the Council, 1, receives the report, 2, approves additional operational spend of $200,000 plus GST in the 2025-26 financial year, which will be offset by external income from the Forum North Trust. 3, approves the funding agreement between Whangarei District Council and Forum North Trust, attachment 1.
Yeah. And I'll second that just for the purposes. Thank you for putting your hand up there, Councillor Peters. Councillor Mackenzie, would like to speak to it?
Just briefly to say that this is a necessary and constructive agreement that's been struck with the Forum North Trust, who have funds that they are willing to contribute towards towards this piece of work. And so just like to commend the people who have been involved in order to come to an agreement where those funds can be used through council to get this project looked into a bit further. So great work, everyone. Thank you.
Councillor Peters.
He said what I was going to say, but I will also say that they've actually, Forum North Trust has been very accommodating and wants to work with us. I also note that we sold their grand piano and kept the money. This is a different piece of money, but I just want that on record so that future councils know that that is a debt we owe to them. I don't know how much we got for the grand piano.
Yeah. Point has been noted. Is there any, Councillor Benny?
Yeah, I've just got a couple of query, or a query. So page 6 of the supplementary agenda. Council's already committed $131,450 to support the next steps of investigations for a new lyric theatre. We've now got $200,000 on top of that. I'm struggling a little bit, to be honest. There's a fair bit of history in this, and I've been involved in this since I got right into council. And this has gone to and fro. And in the last 6 or so years, I would imagine the price has doubled, and it was considerable at that time. So while I appreciate that Forum North Trust is putting $200,000 towards it, as a council, we are putting $131,450 towards it. I would ask the question, how much money have we spent already on this? How much staff time has gone into this? And it's a bit of a rhetorical question, to be honest. Yeah, we're under some pressure to stay within our lane and to focus on core council responsibilities. And so as a project, I won't vote for this. I'm opposed to it. I think there needs a councillor's decision to look further into this, and I believe this has been going on for a long, long time, and I will be voting against it.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Benny. Just to clarify there, and it's been highlighted as this project, how long this project is going for. The Forum North was established in 1981, as you can see by page 3 there, and there was some investigations done in 2010, roughly, might be slightly before that. I am requiring my memory here, and I know that Councillor Holster definitely remembers all the timeframes. So the document has been. As for the actual funding and how much has been funded over the years, that is something I'm unable to give. Aaron, do we have any data on that? Bernadette?
Through the Chair, no, we don't have any historical data on how much they've provided, if they have in grant form previously, historically.
Okay. Any other discussion? Councillor Cooper.
Thank you very much. Look, there's been talk of a theatre for a long time. Councillor Benny is right. What we have here is a realisation from the Forum North Trust that if they want to get a theatre, they are going to have to come up with funding themselves. There is some money in the long-term plan, but it is contingent on them finding a large amount of funding. So I say that when the Knowledge Hub people are meeting, they've been very clear with the Forum North Trust that there is no funding coming from the council, and there's been a number of people in the room when that's been said. So what we've got now is a way around it. They say we have funding, we need to do this investigation about what size theatre we want, where it's to go and how it's to work, and we will pay for that. However, they're conscious that it's in a council, part of a council-led business case, a project, and so therefore they are trying to work within the rules and keep squeaky clean. So it's about the community coming in, spending their own money to get an outcome which will benefit the community. Personally, I think it's something that should be supported. I note the concerns, but this is no extra money from what we've spent already. It's their money. Thank you.
Just a point of order, if I can.
Yeah, point of order.
So
yeah.
I just, and I hate to disagree, but page 6 clearly says council has put
your point of order, councillor.
Yes.
Yep. Your
Get in
point
there.
of order is in relation to?
There's no money from council involved in this. There is $131,000 from council involved in this.
Okay, so your point of order is the facts, the figures that were actually.
Yeah, it said it was outside funding.
We're not going to go a tit for tat. Basically, the item on the thing talks about year 2, and it says year 2 of the Forum North Lyric Centre, which is from the 25-26, actually would be in the 26-27 year. So it's basically saying that it's year 2. So it's the funding has been allocated. The 200,000 is, again, as stated a bit further on, is in relation to funding which is external funding provided by Forum North Trust. So it's actually coming externally. So it's not actually coming from the budgets.
Sorry, it says here year 2 of the long-term plan.
Yes, that's correct.
It's not 26, 27.
Year 2 of the long-term plan is this financial year.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. But the 200,000 is not council funding as you can see it, okay? Okay. So just to make it very clear so you understand, right. So the point of order is not appropriate to this situation. Councillor Hulse.
Oh, good. Okay. Thank you. Like I keep saying, everything's got history. We did an investigation on all this years ago, about 6 years ago. And I know because Alan Adcock went over there and he searched all the titles of the properties. There's about a dozen titles of land in that Forum North block. So we worked our way through. We put a budget against it about $300,000. I think that all got swooped up by the long-term plan, and that money disappeared. But all the study on that was basically done. And I can remember having conversations, because we actually went down and looked at the theatre in Auckland, and went down to Claudelands in Hamilton, and we talked to all those production companies how you actually do this work. So a party went down and we did, and we came back with a recommendation that the new theatre should be in line with our what we call the civic precinct, which is now, if you work from this side, the library, and then the theatre, which should be in the half moon around it. So looking from Rust Ave, it looked pretty awesome. But I don't know where it's got to. I haven't been involved in these discussions, but there was a substantial amount of work done for a location. So thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Hulse. Councillor Mackenzie, I haven't got to that yet. I'm just checking to make sure there's no...
Just when you're ready, Your Worship.
Yep, thank you. Councillors, look, it is an important aspect that we're talking about here. If you go out to our community, and many of us have, over the years, we have seen the request for a lyric theatre to come through. It has been a very, very strong voice from our community. The fact that we had to pull it from our long-term plan and push it out upset the Forum North Trust, because they actually had funds that they needed to spend in that time period. So this is all about making sure that funds actually get spent and get done and get used for the purpose of getting a lyric theatre. So they have got funds set aside, they are working with us, and this is another example of a partnership with our community. So we've just had in this last lot of agenda a partnership with Hapu, partnership with the Paro Bay. This is about partnerships, and again, this is about the partnership with the arts community to get the Forum North Trust to get that lyric theatre kicked off and in the process of moving. Again, yes, as Councillor Cooper has highlighted, they have got a lot of funding to raise. They know that. They also know that they've got to start the process. Councillor Mackenzie, would you like your right of reply?
Yeah, I agree with all of that, Your Worship. And I just think it's worth noting that the LTP commitments in there are not, they're just for noting in the report. They're not actually the resolution, right? The resolution is about $200,000 from Forum North Trust, and we're not here to relitigate the LTP. We've went through that process. So just good on them, you know. Like, they've got that money. They've got to get the process underway, as you say, and they need to know where the theatre is going to be positioned. There are a lot of stakeholders involved in the project, and so they need to continue that work to then be able to go and form a business case and raise that further money. They need that piece of information, so good on them for progressing their work. Thank you.
Right of reply has been had. All those in favour? Any opposed? Would you like it recorded? Okay, Councillor Benny would like it, and Councillor Reid, you'd like yours recorded as well. Okay, Councillor Reid and Councillor Benny recorded against. Thank you, Councillors. We've now moved into our confidential. I will move that into confidential. Do I have a seconder? Councillor Olsen's had her hand up there for seconding going into confidential. All those in favour? Any opposed? Carried. Thank you, councillors. And we'll just allow a quick time for the team to do a quick clean